You ever sit down, look at your bank account, and feel that quiet panic creeping in? That was Dorilla. 70 years old, spent his whole life working, never lazy, never reckless. He did what everyone told him to do. Work hard, save money, rely on your pension. So he did. And now every month, the money comes in. And every month, it disappears faster. Dorilla sat on a wooden chair outside his small forest hut, holding a letter, his pension statement. He read it again, slower this time. Then he muttered, "This can't be right." But it was. After food, after medicine, after basic bills, there was almost nothing left. No travel, no freedom, no breathing room, just survival. And here's the part nobody talks about. At 70, you don't have time to figure it out later. Dorilla leaned back, staring at the trees, thinking,
I did everything right, so why does it feel like I'm losing?
and if that question sounds familiar, this story might hit closer than you expect. Let me tell you something about Dorilla. He wasn't careless. In fact, he was too careful. His whole life, he avoided risk. No stocks, no business, no complicated investments. His best friend, Saru, the monkey, used to joke,
Dorilla, you trust that pension like it's your wife.
Dorilla would laugh and say,
At least the pension won't betray me.
well, turns out it didn't betray him. It just wasn't enough. See, nobody explained inflation to Dorilla in a way that mattered. Prices didn't jump overnight. They crept. Food got a little more expensive. Medicine doubled quietly over the years. Utilities always just a bit higher. But his pension stayed almost the same. That's the trap. It feels stable while your life slowly becomes more expensive. Dorilla started cutting back. First, he stopped buying his favorite fruit. Then he delayed replacing his worn-out shoes. Then one day, he skipped a meal. Not because he forgot, because he calculated. That's when it hit him. This isn't retirement. This is budgeting to survive. And the worst part? He thought he planned well. Now here's where things get dangerous. When people feel pressure, they don't always make better decisions. They make faster ones. One afternoon, Saru the monkey showed up, grinning as usual.
Dorilla, you look stressed. Good news, I found something big.
Dorilla sighed.
Saru, last time your big idea involved banana futures.
Saru waved it off.
No, this is different. There's this expert, Kitsune the fox, financial guru. Everyone's talking about him.
And just like that, Hope walked in wearing a suit. Kitsune arrived, smooth, calm voice, confident smile. He looked at Dorilla's situation and nodded like he'd seen it 1,000 times.
Ah, classic case. Fixed income, rising costs. Don't worry, Dorilla. I help retirees multiply their money safely.
Dorilla leaned forward.
Safely.
Kitsune smiled.
Of course. Low risk, high return. Exclusive opportunity.
Now, pause right here, because this is where many people watching have made the same mistake. Dorilla didn't ask enough questions. He didn't understand the investment. He just understood one thing.
I need more money.
And that feeling, that urgency, it makes anything sound reasonable. So Dorilla nodded and said the words that would cost him even more.
I'm in.
At first, everything looked fine. Kitsune sent updates, clean reports, smooth numbers going up. Dorilla would sit there, glasses low on his nose, reading each line slowly. 8% this month? He hadn't seen numbers like that in his life. For the first time in years, he relaxed a little. He even told Saru.
Maybe I worried too much.
Saru grinned.
See, I told you, big moves.
But here's the thing about smooth profits. Real life doesn't move in straight lines. No bad months, no volatility, no clear explanation. That's not stability, that's a story. A few months passed, then Dorilla needed some money. Nothing big, just enough to cover rising medical costs. He called Kitsune.
Can I withdraw a small amount?
Silence, just for a second too long. Then Kitsune replied smoothly.
Of course, Dorilla, but right now isn't the best time. There are temporary liquidity constraints. If you wait, your returns will be even higher.
Dorilla paused. That quiet discomfort came back.
Temporary.
Kitsune chuckled softly.
Completely normal.
And that's how traps work. They don't slam shut. They close slowly while convincing you to stay. Weeks turned into months. Dorilla asked again. This time, the answer changed. More conditions, more delays, more complicated explanations. And then, no response. No updates. No polished reports. Just silence. Dorilla walked to Saru's place, holding the last statement with trembling hands. He's not answering. Saru's grin was gone now. Maybe he's just busy. But they both knew. Dorilla sat down, staring at the ground.
That was my buffer.
Not luxury money, not extra money. That was the money meant to protect him. Gone. And here's the part that hits hardest. At 30, you can recover from mistakes. At 70, mistakes don't just cost money. They cost time you don't have. Dorilla didn't shout, didn't panic. He just sat there, quieter than usual, and said,
I can't afford another mistake.
A few days later, Dorilla slowly walked deeper into the forest. Not chasing opportunity this time, just looking for answers. That's when he found Kame, the turtle. Old, calm, no fancy words, no polished shoes, just watching the river flow. Dorilla sat beside him and said,
I worked my whole life, and I still got it wrong.
Kame didn't react immediately. He just asked one question.
What did you depend on?
Dorilla answered.
My pension, and then someone else's promise.
Kame nodded.
That's the problem.
Then he turned slightly and looked at Dorilla.
Dorilla, retirement isn't about one income. It's about layers.
Dorilla frowned.
Layers?
Kame picked up 3 small stones and placed them on the ground.
First layer, your pension. That's your base, but it was never meant to carry everything.
He placed the second stone.
Second layer, assets that grow. Simple investments, not complicated, not risky bets, just steady growth over time.
Then the third.
Third layer, flexibility, cash flow, part-time income, or something you can adjust when life changes.
Dorilla stared at the stones.
No one ever explained it like that.
Kame gave a small smile.
They don't, because simple advice isn't exciting.
Then he leaned closer.
And one more thing.
Dorilla looked up.
If someone promises high returns with no risk, they're not managing your money. They're taking it.
For the first time in days, Dorilla didn't feel panic. He felt clarity. Not everything was fixable, but not everything was lost either. Dorilla didn't walk away from Kame with excitement. He walked away with a plan. And it wasn't flashy. No double your money, no shortcuts, just structure. The next morning, Dorilla sat down and wrote 3 things. What's coming in, what's going out, and what can still grow. And for the first time in years, he looked at his situation clearly, not emotionally, not hopefully, honestly. He made small changes, cut what didn't matter, protected what did. Then with Kame's guidance, he started simple. Low-cost index funds, dividend-paying stocks. Nothing complicated, nothing he didn't understand. And here's what most people don't expect. At 70, Dorilla didn't need explosive growth. He needed stability that grows quietly. He also did something most people resist. He adapted. A few hours a week, Dorilla started helping younger animals in the forest, sharing what he learned the hard way. Not for pride, for income, for control. Because retirement isn't about stopping, it's about choosing. And slowly, very slowly, that pressure in his chest began to ease. One evening, Saru came back. Quieter this time. No big ideas, just curiosity.
So you're starting over.
Dorilla nodded. Not starting over, adjusting. Saru scratched his head.
But isn't it too late for all this?
Dorilla looked at him, then smiled slightly.
Too late for what? To get rich, maybe, but not too late to stop being vulnerable.
That line sat heavy, because that's the truth most people avoid. Retirement isn't about becoming wealthy at the end. It's about not becoming dependent. Dorilla continued.
You don't need perfect decisions. You need fewer bad ones.
Saru sat down beside him. No jokes this time, because deep down, he knew he'd been chasing shortcuts his whole life. And Dorilla, he finally stopped. Let's be real for a moment. Dorilla's story isn't rare. In fact, it's becoming normal. People work 30, 40 years, trust the system, and then realize it's not enough. Not because they failed, but because they relied on one pillar in a world that keeps changing. So here's what Dorilla would tell you now. Don't rely on one income, not your pension, not savings alone. Build layers. Keep it simple. If you don't understand it, don't invest in it. And most importantly, don't wait until pressure forces you to act. Because pressure doesn't create good decisions. It creates fast ones. And fast decisions are usually expensive. Dorilla didn't become a millionaire. That's not the point. He became something more valuable at 70, stable, and in retirement, stability is freedom. Now Dorilla sits in that same chair outside his hut. Same forest, same life, but a different feeling. Not fear, control. He still gets his pension, but now it's just one piece of the puzzle, not the whole picture. He looks out at the trees and says quietly,
I wish I understood this earlier,
then pauses.
but I'm glad I understand it now.
So let me ask you something. If your income stopped growing tomorrow, would your retirement still work? Or are you depending on just one stream, like Dorilla did? Because the difference between struggling and stable isn't luck, it's structure. And the question is, do you have one?